Evening, everybody. Another splendid day here on the ranch. I'm in the office today because it's raining a little bit outside and the shop is just a touch too noisy. So what I wanted to talk with you today is this. This right here, well, not this particular glue gun. This is a hot glue gun. I bought this off of Amazon a couple of years ago. And man, I use the heck out of this thing. This is 100 watt. It takes the full size, I think they're 11 millimeter glue sticks. Man, I just use these things all over the place. They're not great for repairing items, but if you're mocking something up or you're prototyping something, this stuff is great. If you're making jigs, you need to hold something down on the CNC. These things are great, and I use the heck out of these. And I was working on a project the other day where I was using this, and I said, man, this thing would be so much better if it was cordless. Well, now, I'm not going to try to take this AC 100 watt corded glue gun and make it cordless. So I went to the interwebs and I got to looking and I said, well, I already have the DeWalt battery line. Kids got me set of drill drivers a couple of years back for Father's Day. I really like the DeWalt. I've got the couple of the, I think these are 2 amp hour batteries, and I've got a few more. I've got the battery operated impact for taking wheels and tires off. I got a 5 amp battery with that. So I'm already kind of committed to this. I don't want to switch battery providers again. I kept my old NiCad Porter cable stuff, 18 volt Porter cable for, I mean, I still have it. It still works, but the batteries started dying. They got harder to find. I had bought up all of the batteries I could when they were clearancing them at my Lowe's. So I went to the internet and I said, well, maybe DeWalt makes a cordless hot glue gun. Come to find out they don't. There are a couple of Chinese knockoffs out there in the world. They run for this style. They run about 30 bucks, 35 bucks, somewhere in there. So I got to looking around YouTube and I said, what can I do to get, I really went there to see what kind of information I could get on the knockoff DeWalt battery cordless glue guns. And I found a few, and the reviews were reasonable. But I ran across a review of someone who took one of these from Harbor Freight and converted it to use a DeWalt battery. So I'm going to take a look at this and see if I can do that myself. I'm pretty sure I can. I tend to be a fairly handy individual. So let's go ahead and get this thing open and we'll see what we can figure out about it. There's a bunch of So let's have a look here. This is the Bauer glue gun. This was on sale this week, which it is, I think, every other week or 3 weeks out of the month. It's on sale for $15.99. Regularly $19.99. They had a 20% off coupon for any Bauer 20 volt tool. So $15.99, there we go. Let's just first of all have a look and see what we're up against. Not quite. Hopefully you can see this. There is a couple of modifications you have to make. The first thing that you have to do is knock this little square off here. So let's see how hard that's going to be. about that hard. So now that we got that out of the way, I think we may have to do a little more trimming. I think you have to cut some of the front off. We'll see what we got left here. Yeah, not quite going to fit. Looking at them, we're going to have to trim some up right in here. So let me go ahead and take this apart and see what we can get to. I think these will be easier to get to with a knife if I take this apart. So I think that is a Torx. Alright, so I had to dig way in the deep at the back of the toolbox to find that old little thing, but it's still there, so let's open this thing up and see what we got. This is a PA6 glass fiber reinforced with the overmold. Pretty decent stuff. Here's what we've got here. This is your heating element. This is what's going to melt the glue. Again, the glue stick will go in here. Into that, you've got a little ratcheting mechanism that will take it all the way in there. One of the things that I have learned about using the DeWalt with the Bauer is the thermal protection circuits are different. They're similar, but they're different. Apparently the DeWalt uses a 10 kiloohm NTC thermistor on the B plus line, and the Bauer uses the same type of NTC thermistor on the ground line. So what we're going to have to do is we are going to have to go into our TH connector, that's our thermal connector, and we're going to have to solder in a 10 kiloohm resistor between the thermistor line and the ground. So let me get all of this opened up, and we'll start shaving some plastic off, and we'll see how we get there from here. So I'm just going to go through here and kind of size up and see how much of this I'm going to have to remove. It looks like this front section here is going to have to come off, so I'm going to cut that at about a 45. So let me get that done. Y'all don't need to watch that foolishness. I'll be back. Alright, so after a little bit of trial and error on the other side of this, I found two things that you need to, well, three things really. This little L shape right here needs to come out. This would be towards the front of the end of the battery connector. Your battery slides in from this side. This whole little raised notch right here needs to come out. And half of this little notch on the front needs to come out. The easiest thing I have found to get this plastic out of there is to use a pair of the, I'm tearing my stuff up. Just use a pair of these nippers. Nip it. You're going to come back to somewhere about right there. I don't think it's terribly critical. Nip it, and then you can grab a hold of it and pretty much break the whole thing off. That's the easiest way to get that out of there. Hopefully I left most of that in frame and y'all could see what I was doing there, but if not, you get the idea. And again, same thing here. I'm going to go all the way through, nip that all the way through and nip that. This one's a little harder because it's not as easy to get in there and get to bend it straight over, but you can get it out of there. If you have to, pull it out in little bitty pieces. Alright, so that should be it. The last thing that we'll have to do is trim off some of this front piece right here. And the easiest way that I've found so far to do that is with a sander, and I'm going to do that out in the shop. So let me take this out there, and I'm going to zip the front of it off so that it looks kind of like that. And then I'll get back with you and show you the electrical side of this, and then we'll be done. Okay, so I took this out to the shop and just kind of zipped the front edge of that battery compartment off. Made it look somewhat like the battery. Now you can see that my battery will fit in there. It will come out. If you didn't figure it out, this procedure is going to void every warranty that you ever thought you had from Harbor Freight. If you take this back into Harbor Freight, even they will probably laugh at you. So at the end of the day, with my fancy pointer here, I'm going to say you're going to remove the bottom part of this and then the little L back here. Zip the front of that off. Again, these little nippers are the easiest thing that I have found to take care of that. Split, and then just kind of break it off. This fiber reinforced stuff, once you get it broken, it breaks fairly clean. So now we're going to move on to the electrical side. Let me get reset and get the old soldering iron fired up, and we'll see what we got to do here. Alright, this next part is probably the sketchiest thing that I've ever done in a video, but hey, you only live once. So I am this process will bypass the thermal protection of the DeWalt battery. How this system works is there's a TH line, which is a thermal detector or thermal line. Apparently in the Bauer batteries, it is looking for a resistance between the battery and ground, or between the TH line and ground. With the DeWalt battery, it has a NTC thermistor in between the battery, or on the battery line. So basically the Bauers use the thermistor on the negative terminal. The DeWalt uses it on the positive terminal. So what we're going to do, if I can find my little resistor, is we're just going to disconnect the thermal sensing line, put a 10k ohm resistor. If you don't have 10k ohm, get something close to that. I suspect anything probably between 7 and 10,000 would probably work. Your first step is going to have to be to desolder this wire off of the TH line. Now this is a magnetic helping hand that my kids bought me for Christmas, so thank you, flathead number 2. Off of here. got it off. I'm going to give myself just a touch more line. Wire coming out of there. One drop of rosin core solder. If you're not using rosin core solder, you're cheating yourself. That's all I can say about that. And then I'm going to come in here and just barely get that hot enough. And once that solder flows, you're done. So now we've got our 100 ohm resistor soldered to our TH line. I'm just going to clip this leg off here, like so. Now we have to solder this to our negative terminal. And I think I've got enough that I can go through kind of like that. Again, one drop of solder is, or one drop of flux is all you really need. I think this is going to have enough solder already on that joint that I'm not going to have to add any. And that's that. Clip your tail. Now, if I was doing a real professional job on this, I probably would have come in and put some of this heat shrink tubing on there, but I didn't want to have to desolder both of those leads. So we're just going to put some tape on there. If we're going to go sketchy, let's go all the way sketchy. And what I want to do now is go ahead and unplug my soldering iron so that I don't end up branding myself, which I will do on occasions. So I'm going to go ahead and smoke check this and see if it actually comes on. So we're all connected. Got a red light, says we're heating. I think the white light tells us that the battery's good. So electrically, this thing is working. See if it gets hot. Hopefully y'all can see that. That's Fahrenheit degrees, by the way. You want Celsius, there's your Celsius. So it is working, it is getting hot. I'm going to go ahead and shut it down. We'll put this thing back together and then we'll see how it does. Alright, so this is the third outro that I've shot for this, so if I repeat myself or I skip something, my apologies. Camera decided that it was going to die. So here we go. I got the Bauer all back together. The DeWalt battery is on there. The light, the power light is on. The temperature light initially went red whenever it was heating up, and it is now green, telling me that it is ready to dispense some hot glue. And here we go. Hot glue dispensed. Power's off. Battery comes off. Battery goes back. Comes on, turns red, telling me that it is heating. Should be just a couple of seconds. And that light should go to green. So, one thing I will say is that because this bypasses the DeWalt safety, the thermal cutout for the DeWalt battery, I would not leave this in this configuration after I'm done using it. The likelihood of having an overheated battery when you're discharging it, especially with something like this, which is a relatively low current draw, especially once it heats up. This is a positive temperature coefficient heater, which means as the temperature goes up, the resistance goes down, therefore the current draw goes down. So when you first turn this on, that's going to be the most current draw that you're going to have. So there's our glue. So I would not leave it like this. When you're done, turn it off, disconnect your battery. I also would not try to recommend any of this foolishness to try to charge a lithium or any kind of lithium battery on a charger other than the one that was designed to go with it. That's where you can get yourself in a pickle in a hurry, is by swapping your batteries and chargers around. You can blow these things up. So when you're done with it, just disconnect it. Again, this is not going to be a daily use item for me, but whenever I need it, it's well worth the 16 bucks that I paid for it to be able to go free. Now, I still like that AC power one. It will get the hot glue hot enough to instantly remove skin, which is a handy thing to have. But yeah, so that's a quick little cheat there for, like I said, 16 bucks and maybe a half hour of your time. A little longer if you're trying to video it and edit out all the cuss words. But yeah, DeWalt battery, Bauer hot glue gun, works a treat. So there you go. Have a good one.